Yes, everybody, welcome back to Football United TV. This is La Ligue des Champions, where we talk all
Mm.
things Champions League. I know I can't do the accent like you, sir. Very bad at it. This is Marley. Of course, you know him. He's here to wind me up on my accents and trying to say La Ligue des Champions. Is that better?
That was better. It's a mute S towards the end. It's a silent S. So La Ligue des Champions.
It's my
There,
accent.
there
It's
you
hard
go.
to do the French accent, definitely.
It's
La Hamburger.
endearing.
La
It's
Hamburger.
fun.
There you go. Um, so you know what's coming, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. You know it is. It's the intro. Can't get enough of that intro there, Marley.
Love it. Love
I'm
it.
thinking as well that I might have to at some point, we might have to change it and it might have to be our ending one. Shout out to PremierLeagueHeroes.com as well for doing the sponsorships, not sponsorships. What do you call it? What do you call it? Not sponsorships,
I'm
partnerships.
I'm the foreigner here.
Sponsorships is different because obviously it's like they're giving me money for it. They're a mates thing. But I want to get Galasso kits on there too, Molly. I do want to shout them out. And before we start this show, actually, I want to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, if I can, and I will, Galasso kits, who are in partnership with us. You can get anything here from around the world. Retro shirts. I think new shirts as well, Marley. I think sometimes.
Yeah, like they sell 100% authentic football paraphernalia, and like the scope is huge. Johnny loves using the example. They literally have stuff from like Malaysian football, second division Congo football, and they ship worldwide. It's they have stuff like they have some more some older stuff, but they do have recent as well. Like their only criteria is that it has to be 100% authentic. So it's going to be money well spent. And you see that they already have good prices. But if you watch the last FITA show that happened 2 weeks ago, 2 Sundays ago, you can get a 15% off
Wow,
promo
look at
code.
that Man United one, £165. Whoa, 96 to 98. I think those were the years we didn't really win anything as well. At least one of those. You won the league in 98, didn't you?
I think so. I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm not old enough to remember that like precisely, but yeah, I think so.
So everybody, yeah, please go check out Galasso Kits as well, and you'll get a promo code, I believe, on this Sunday's Vita show, Marley. Possibly.
Yes. This upcoming FITA show, we're going to be talking about Colombian football, and yes, you get another promo code in there as well.
So go check that out, everybody, and do buy yourself something from Galasso Kits. It's amazing, it really is. We are going to start off the conversation, Marley. Obviously, talking about Lazio 1, Atletico Madrid 1. The goalkeeper Provedel scores last minute equaliser, and I watched this on the extended highlights, mate. And to be fair, Atletico Madrid were all over Lazio the whole game. It was, I think, Lazio's first time in the competition for a little while. Good to see them back in it. What do you think, mate, about this result?
Overall, you look at the result, like it's not a bad result for either clubs, right? Like, because Atletico Madrid is a
Yeah.
stronger side than Lazio, so like Lazio shouldn't be too worried about that. And you're playing away, so Atletico Madrid drawing like not horrible, but you look at the circumstances. Atletico Madrid were ahead for most of the game, getting equalized by a goalkeeper equalizing. Like that's always gonna feel better for the team that equalized, even though they were playing at home. It feels like a better result for Lazio just because of circumstances. But if you look at it practically, you look at it like before the game, which we're expecting, this is probably it, like the most likely result.
It is, mate. And talking about the goalkeeper situation, scoring that goal, and all the people off the bench ran over to him and jumped. It just, it's nice to see. This is the sort of nights that Champions League's made for, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And so
Mate, like it's so rare. I just absolutely love it when goalkeepers score. It's just so cool.
it was
It's
a great header as well, mate. It looked
yeah,
like they maybe done that in training at some point because of the way that he ran in and the way that he waited for him. It was perfect timing of a pass, mate, and a perfect header as well for a goalkeeper. That's not just like a miraculous headed goal in the last minute to win you a cup. It was like, right, we need to get at least a point out of this game. We're at home. We're in it for the first time for a while. Atletico Madrid clearly feel a bit crap about that, mate. That's
yeah.
they had that game, mate. It was in their hands. Barrios, scoring the first goal in the 29 minutes, but it's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
but that's the thing. Like it's yes, it's frustrating because they were winning the game, but this is literally the hardest game that Atletico has to play in the group, like Lazio away. So they should be fine. Like a draw still puts them as huge favorites to get first place.
Of course, yeah, I think they will. They've let a few players go. They've brought in a few young players this season as well. So we'll see how they get on, mate, and in La Liga as well. Smash the like, share, subscribe if you are watching, people. This is literally a 20-minute, half an hour show just running through some of the results. We will go through some of the results at the end, the other ones, the other games that we're not going to be talking about in the topics. There is a poll as well. Will Jude Bellingham be the player of the tournament because he had a phenomenal game? We are going to go on to that one right now. Marley, 1-0 to Real Madrid. I mean, of course they were going to win against Union Berlin, but look, it's bloody nice to see a team like Union Berlin, who were only a fair few years ago literally hanging by a thread, and to save the club, the fans, because in Germany you can sell blood so you can make money, of course, from it. Sold blood to keep the club afloat, and now they're in the first time in the European Cup competitions, and their first game ever was at the Bernabeu against Real Madrid. It's a beautiful story, isn't it? But it's unfortunate about the result, I guess. But the fans look like they enjoyed it, mate. You saw people like on their knees, like praying up and looking at the Bernabeu, and especially because it's the new Bernabeu as well. It's probably magnificent to see that for the first time. Yeah, what do you think, mate? Good performance from Real Madrid as well, right? They were all over Union Berlin.
Yeah, and I watched most of that game in Berlin. Like they did so well in defending. It's heartbreaking for them. Of course, like the fans are probably proud that it was 1-0, right? Because they're playing against the biggest team in the world. But it's still a loss. So on the practical side, like it's still frustrating because they did really really well. And I'm happy to see Union Berlin doing well, man. I've always felt like I know that at some period in time Hertha was quite the big club as well, but I just feel like Berlin deserves a big club, right? Like it's an amazing city. I've never been, but it's a huge city as well. So it's good to see. Mate, Real Madrid, like some Real Madrid fan or member made a pact with the devil, like at some point in history, because like Real Madrid in the Champions League, it's just even when they're not doing too well, like it's remarkable, man. They lost Benzema. They didn't really replace him, and now Bellingham, who's a number 8, now he's playing as a false 9, maybe the best false 9 in the world right now, and it's nuts. It's nuts. I mean, I assume that other than City, Real Madrid is probably the biggest favorite to win the competition, just because they're always going to be one of the 3 favorites, right? You look at the team, like mate, from my perspective, I'm an Arsenal fan. Like the team itself is not that scary, but it's Real Madrid. It's Real Madrid, so yeah,
You never know. Like they had that time that they won the Champions League a couple of seasons ago, mate, and no one expected them to. They had
yeah,
a team full of aging players, and the fact that they had like the situation with the Spanish league giving them a wage cap, etc., and like the whole thing with Barcelona, and it looked like they were It looked like, actually, to be fair, Real Madrid saw the warning signs before Barcelona, and they tried to deal with it before that. When they got rid of Cristiano Ronaldo, you saw this difference in Real Madrid. But that season, mate, like, you didn't expect them to win the Champions League. So I think they've got a better team this season than they had that season. Would you agree?
I do. It's I mean, I was concerned for well, not concerned. I don't care about them, but I was like, I didn't think it was going to be easy to replace what Benzema did. But I mean, if they keep Bellingham there and he keeps playing like he's playing right now, they should be fine. He's getting better numbers than Benzema. So what am I going to say?
Yeah, exactly, mate. I mean, next season they could have Mbappe, mate, or it could even be in January. How scary would that be?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
You think they're going to go quite far in this Real Madrid? You think they'll get to at least semi-finals?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the path is going to be, but like right now, the only matchup where I wouldn't put Real Madrid as favorites is against City. Other than City, maybe if they play Bayern, like, it's quite the even game. But other than that, they should beat anyone else. Like, you have the El Clasico as well. Like, that's always going to be a tough game. But yeah, I see Real Madrid going far. It's Real Madrid.
What about Union Berlin, mate? Do you think, on a realistic level, do you think for them maybe dropping into Europa League? Not that they're going to try and do that, but do you think that's probably most likely what's going to happen with Union Berlin? Or do you think they could be a surprise and they could get second and possibly get through to, I think it's a knockout game, isn't it? Round 32 if you get second place, right? Or is that? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Well, second place and first place in Champions League like makes very little difference. Just that you face the second places instead of the first places.
Is it not a knockout then? Like, is it not a knockout then? You go to round 32.
If you get third place, you play against the second places in the Europa League, and the first places in the Europa League skip around. But I would say that Union Berlin stands very little chances of qualifying. Like, they have Real Madrid, Napoli in their group. Like, Napoli, probably the second best team in the world last season. They did amazing. I know they lost one or two players, but they're still like quite the phenomenal side. I don't think they started Serie A too well, but I can't be sure. Like, I didn't look at it. It's just like a feel. But they're a better side than Union Berlin. But then again, like, getting third place and playing Europa League, like, it's not the end of the world, right?
It isn't. No, not really. Not for your first time in Europe as well. You're still in a competition at the end of the day. Champions League is going to be hard. But I am still at the same time, mate, quite impressed that they only kept it to 1-0. Union Berlin's goalkeeper had a fabulous time. The defence wasn't too bad either, and they had their chances. So I think even though it was a 1-0 defeat, I think they can take something away from this going into the next game, because at the end of the day, it's probably going to be their hardest game of the group, isn't it?
This one, yeah, Real Madrid away, yeah, and dude, they conceded in the 94th minute. It was a really lucky goal. That's why I say, like, Real Madrid has a pact with the devil when it comes to this competition. Like, it's just something like they're gonna win.
And they did.
And they
Bellingham,
did.
an Englishman.
Exactly, but yo, dude, Aston Villa is losing to Legia Warsaw. Like, is that the club?
Oh wow, that's not good for your first time back in.
Yeah, 3-2.
How are Liverpool doing still at the moment?
I think they're still losing.
Oh.
Yeah, 1-0 to LASK.
It's unlucky, isn't it? Thursday night football, it's horrible. Marley will tell you. I can tell you as well.
Yeah,
we've all got credit in that. Unfortunately, it's good for us both back to being the Champions League, though, isn't it? Arsenal, Man United. Not so impressive for us last night, but I will talk about that on Monday on the United Across the Globe show. Okay, we'll move on then, Marley. We'll go on to the final one. We are just having a quick chat here, so we'll be on for another 10 minutes or so, if that. Thank you for supporting it, by the way, everybody. Smash a like, share, subscribe if you are tuning in. Feyenoord 2, Celtic 0. Most losses in the Champions League history, mate, Celtic, out of any club that's been in Europe. Feyenoord haven't really been putting up trees in the Eredivisie, to be fair. I mean, they're always going to be pretty much outweighed by PSV and Ajax, and it seems to be this case so far in their domestic league. What do you make of this, mate? I mean, especially for Celtic, because a lot of people in British tabloids, especially Scottish news, have said, what can Celtic do to change their outcome in European football, because they just don't seem to be able to compete. And that's a very bad statistic, really, isn't it, for a club that has won the Champions League before, European Cup in their history.
Yeah, isn't Feyenoord the current champion? No, they're the current. Yeah, they finished second last year, right? In the Eredivisie. Okay. You told me this before the show. I wasn't aware that Celtic had the most losses, but when you think about it, it kind of makes a lot of sense, actually, because they're a very dominant team in a league that's not competitive, right? So Celtic is more often than not gonna play in the Champions League, and for a long time now, can't talk about the past too much. I wasn't alive, but in my lifetime, Celtic, like the Scottish League and Celtic itself, like they were never even close to being able to compete with the clubs in the five main leagues, or even the Dutch league. Like the Dutch league is a lot stronger than the Scottish league, a lot stronger. And it's a competition where you have two very, very good teams and historically immense clubs in Ajax and PSV. You have Feyenoord, you have Twente, you have some, some decent clubs, whether in the Scottish league. And I don't want to be disrespectful. Like you have Rangers and Celtic. Every now and then you have another club that's a little funny, but like looking at it practically, like they're always like 2 stars in FIFA, stuff like that. And I don't want to use it as a base too much, but like it definitely means that the teams are not great. And so I'm not surprised whatsoever, man. I don't think it's something to be embarrassed of either. Like it just means that they played a lot in the Champions League. Sure, like it'd be cool for them to do better at it, but it's tough, man, for a smaller country with not as much money as England, France, Spain, Germany, Italy, like Scotland, right? Like the Scottish league's not going to pay that much. Like for Celtic to be competitive, they need a miraculous youth setup that's going to do like really well for like 3 years straight, and then they can dream of doing something. Because other than that, like what's the most expensive player they've ever bought? Like I'm assuming it's probably close to like 10 million pounds or something. It's not going to be much higher than that.
No, but I mean, back in the day, they used to be able to buy decent players. Like Rangers had a really good team in the 90s as well. They bought like Laudrups and Gascoignes, and you had Celtic that had like Henrik Larsson, etc. So they've had very decent players. Whether they bought them for a lot, I mean, the equivalent of the money from here and then.
But like ever since like, and I don't like, 1 million pounds is a whole lot of money, but ever since football became this astronomical business, like in the early 2000s, right? Like with the Galacticos, with Chelsea and Abramovich, all of that, like they haven't even like they stopped. And it's not necessarily their fault. Like it's tough to compete with that. You have clubs in Brazil spending more money than them now. So it's gonna be tricky to compete with like the elite of Europe. And you were telling me that the Conference League is probably more their level, mate. West Ham just won the Conference League. Celtic plays West Ham 10 times, they lose 9. It's
I don't know what I've always said. If Celtic were in the Premier League, I feel that they would always be like either a mid-table or in between battling relegation and mid-table, because they would have a little bit more in the kitty. I'm not saying like how they are now, but I think if they were able to be in the Premier League, they would have they'd have a lot more a lot more income, a lot more
Oh
stability.
no! Oh, okay. Now I get it. Yeah, yeah. They'd be better. They'd battle for like Europa League, Conference
I
League
agree with you
positions because they'd
with
be
right now, like they wouldn't do very well. They beat them 9 out of 10.
exactly. No, I agree with you, man. That like that way they would become one of the big clubs. They'd get more money. I'm assuming the international fan base would grow as well. Yeah, it's a whole different story. But you pick the club as it is now. I'm assuming they'd battle relegation.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what will happen. So it's just tough, man. It's not a fault of their own. They're a huge club, huge
I've
club.
always
Just
thought maybe extending the Carabao Cup and bringing in the Scottish Premier League, Scottish Championship into the English Carabao Cup, and then giving them some sort of majors against
I
bigger
feel like
teams.
yeah, I feel like like replacing the Carabao Cup with like a Great Britain Cup would be really fun. But then again, British clubs would like English clubs would win it every single time.
They would, but I think it would give them more profit to be able to get better in
Yeah,
Europe,
yeah, that
and they
makes
could
sense.
probably get better in that league too, and get better in the Carabao Cup, the British one.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just think it creates more money for them and pretty much everybody else. Because, like I said, it'd be good to see a cup tie between West Ham and Celtic. In the
hmm
quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, that'd be exciting.
I agree.
Um,
Yeah, I agree.
and Feyenoord, mate. What was you saying? What was you saying about them? It was a good performance from them too. They were all over Celtic, and of course, Celtic got the 2 red cards as well. Didn't really help. The first one, I think, was a little bit harsh on Celtic. It's kind of like a little slap in the face. I don't think he meant to. I think he was trying to shield him off and look round and realise that his hand was. I mean, it might have been a red card, maybe, but it just seemed a little bit harsh. And the second one was a definite red card. Studs up, 2 feet,
Oh,
awful. So yeah, I mean, for Feyenoord though, mate, they're happy
oh,
about this at home 2-0, aren't they? I mean, like you
yeah.
said, obviously they got second place last year, so improving. I think wasn't it Spurs were looking at their manager potentially. I think
That ma-
before
that makes
Cogley,
sense.
he
Yeah,
seems
but
to be used.
he
Yeah,
seems to be doing well though, so they're not too unhappy with that. Uh, did not watch the game, did not watch the highlights, so I'm gonna have to take your word for everything. But just yeah, man, they had to win this game if they want to have like any hope of going to the next round. But their true battle here is like this is the fight for third place, really, because I mean, Feyenoord they can qualify. They can get that second spot ahead of Lazio, but Lazio are favorites. They're favorites. Like they play in a stronger league. They have a stronger team. But you never know. I just feel like it's gonna be kind of a ride in the park for Atletico, and then it's a toss up for the second one. But I'd say that like 70% Lazio and 25 Feyenoord, 5 Celtic.
yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, that's it for that. Let's have a quick look, though, mate, at the fixtures coming up for next week, if
Okay.
I can. Let's just see what's going on. Sorry, I'm
hmm
actually on their site, and it takes ages to load on the UEFA Champions League site. They've got to sort this out, mate. It's not acceptable.
That's why I
Tuesday,
usually go with Google.
yeah, I am. Oh yeah, Google is a bit better. It just looks a bit more fancier, I think, mate. That's the
It
reason
definitely
why I use
does.
it.
It definitely does. Yeah, no, Google does not care about aesthetics, but
No,
it's
it doesn't,
practical.
does it? So next week it is next week, isn't it? Is it next week, Tuesday the 3rd? Hang on, it's not, is it? Is it a week out?
No, yeah, it's 2 weeks from now.
Oh, we got a week out. Okay, fair enough. I'm not
I'm
on then.
assuming there's gonna be like Carabao Cup or FA Cup games midweek. I think. No, not yet. I don't know. Not
Yeah,
paying
that
too
is.
much attention to the calendar, guys. My bad.
There's only been 16. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, 16 games. Right. Okay. So in a couple of weeks' time, we'll be back. Union Berlin versus Braga. Salzburg. Am I even showing this? Yes, I am. I forgot where I was there. Salzburg versus Real Sociedad, Man United versus Galatasaray, Copenhagen versus Bayern Munich, Lens versus Arsenal, PSV versus Sevilla, Napoli versus Real Madrid. That's another good game. Inter versus Benfica. That's a good game too. And then on the Wednesday, we got Atletico Madrid versus Feyenoord, Antwerp versus Shakhtar Donetsk, Celtic versus Lazio. That'll be a good game. Dortmund versus Milan. That'll be another good game. Newcastle versus PSG.
This group is just so crazy, man. You're only gonna have awesome games in there.
It's amazing, isn't it? In the next round of games, Leipzig versus Man City. That'll be a good game. Cervena Svezda. I don't know why they're saying this, Marley, because that's Red Star Belgrade.
Maybe that's Red Star in their language. I don't know.
Maybe it is. Yeah, it's just that they used to just use it as Red Star because they got. Okay, fair enough. Someone might be able to explain that in the comments and write me a cheeky message in a DM and just tell me all about it, or maybe I can look it up. But it's good, makes conversation, doesn't it? I'm being sociable. FC Porto versus Barcelona. That'll be a good game too. They had a great result, didn't they? Winning 5-0. They won 5-0, didn't they, the other night?
Who?
Barcelona. Was it against Antwerp?
I think it was Antwerp. They were kind of expected to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, not so much of a drilling, I don't think. It's not the Barcelona of old, is it? But oh my god,
it's still a team with Lewandowski up top, with with very decent wingers, with a good midfield as always, like some exciting young talent, and they're playing up, Antwerp. No disrespect once again, but
So Group A looks like this: Bayern Munich at the top there with 3 points, Copenhagen with 1, Galatasaray with 1, and Man United there at the bottom, no points.
But it's. I was expecting you guys to get your butts kicked, mainly like from the beginning of the game. 4-3, like that's a, it's not a good result. Like a loss is a loss, but it's not embarrassing. Like I was expecting them to embarrass you.
They kind of did, because this is what I'm going to say to you. They played badly, we played good, and they still beat us.
Okay.
That's how it was. It just would have gone on. If that game would have gone on for hours on end, it'd have been 5-4, 6-5, 7-5, 7-6, 8. You know what I mean? It was just one of those. We never would have got it back. Never would have got it back.
Defending throughout, right?
Yeah. awful game, mate, honestly. Arsenal Group B, top in the group. You're going to be talking about this on Gunners from All Corners, aren't you, later on with Anthony at 9 o'clock. Yes. Lens in second with 1 point, Sevilla 1 point, and PSV at the bottom there because you drilled them 4-0 with no points.
Sevilla losing points to Lens at home, right? Like that was unexpected, because that's the team that, like, given that we just won 4-0 against PSV, Sevilla was going to be the most likely club to kind of give us a hard time. They're not off to a good start there.
They're not, aren't they?
It's not their competition, though, right? When they drop to third, they're going to win the Europa League again.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what they're doing, aren't they? It's on purpose.
Yeah.
Group C, Napoli with 3 points, Real Madrid with 3 points, Braga on no points, and Union Berlin on no points. Group D, Salzburg with the 3 points, Inter Milan with 1, Real Sociedad 1, Benfica none. Feyenoord 3, Atletico Madrid 1, Lazio 1, and Celtic 0 in Group E. And Group F, Paris Saint-Germain 3, Newcastle 1, Milan 1, Dortmund on nothing. Group G, Leipzig on 3 points with Man City second in 3 points. Cervena Svezda, that's Red Star Belgrade, no points, and Young Boys, no points. And last but not least, Barcelona with the 3 points, 5 goals. That's the reason why they're at the top. FC Porto with 3 points, Shakhtar Donetsk of the Ukraine on 0, and Antwerp on 0 too. And that, my fellow DJ, is it from us today. Marley, thank you so much for coming back on, mate.
Always a pleasure, my man. Always a pleasure.
I'm going to have to do you on solo and let let you tell everybody where they can find you, mate. Thank you so much for coming back.
No, absolutely no need to put me in solo because like they found me. This is where I am. This is where I am. If you want to follow me on, yeah, exactly. Support our friends and sponsors, official sponsors at Golasso Kits. Use the promo code. You're going to be helping them. You're going to be helping us as well. So much cool stuff. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can. You don't have a lot of reasons to do so. Please support this channel and all the content we have to offer. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Share the stream. And yeah, see you next time. See you in give or take 2 hours.
Yes, Gunners from All Corners with Anthony, Marley, and a very special new guest at 9 o'clock tonight, talking how amazing Arsenal have been recently. Just, to be honest, it's been brilliant. Take care, everybody. I'll be back for this show in around about 2 weeks' time for the updates. Until then, people, take care. See you soon. Have a glorious weekend. Bye-bye.
Ciao.